the 1950s. The theory is if you take blood from a young, healthy human being and pump it into an old, unhealthy human being, the health benefits of the younger person will be transferred to the older person. This has been explored as a fountain of youth since the 1950s. Cornell University started this research. So why am I bringing it up now? Well, we had these concentration camps where we have been imprisoning illegally immigrants seeking refuge from war-torn countries, and we have been separating children from parents. The fact that these people's belongings are thrown into dumpsters with absolutely no recording made of who brought what indicates that we have no intention of releasing any of them. The fact that these children are being separated without any sort of record keeping to reunite them with parents or family members also shows that the government has no intention of returning these children to their homes. Now we know that thousands of these children have been funneled into Betsy DeVos's pet adoption agency. That's a lot of money right there. We know that the companies that are housing these children are being paid over $700 a night per child. Also a lot of money. But let's talk about the kids who have disappeared. In the first year of this program alone, 1,500 children vanished without a trace. No one knows where they went. No one knows who took them. They are just gone. Let me tell you what happened. The Young Blood Transfusion Initiative is currently charging $300,000 per transfusion. That's a lot of money. Always follow the money when you want to find out what's really happening. So you have these schools who are taking these young, healthy children, isolating them in a lab in upstate Idaho, if you're interested. The lab is mostly underground, and most of the people who don't work in it have no idea what it is. These children are being separated from their blood. The blood is then spun into plasma, and that plasma is used for these $300,000 per session youth injections. So when you look at these people who appear to never age, who have obscene amounts of money, you might wonder where that youth is coming from. When you look at the people who are far exceeding what you would expect their lifespans to be based upon their lifestyles, you might wonder where that resilience is coming from. It is coming from the plasma stolen from stolen children. If we know about 1,500 in the first year, how much has that been increased in the years since when the administration has clamped down on the reporting and is refusing to allow people to know how many kids are missing? These kids are hooked up to IV machines. They are thankfully generally kept comatose because that's easier to control. So they don't have to deal with the horror of what they're going through. They are systematically drained of their blood, not to the point of death, but definitely to the point of incapacitation. And they are basically dairy cattle. They are being milked of their blood, which is spun into plasma, which is then sold on the underground market for $300,000 a pop. It is a horrific thing, but if you want to talk about trafficking and Save the Children initiatives, look at the people who are staying eternally young. Look at the people who have the money to be getting these transfusions so that they do not lose their power and their position. Look at the people who are somehow still in charge despite their own perfidy. Look at the people who have no conscience and would have no problem with utilizing the bodies of these children as a resource to be harvested. Now we are still discovering mass graves in Eastern Europe from what happened in Bosnia and Serbia in the 1980s and 1990s. 40 years from now, people are going to be discovering mass graves of children in upstate Idaho as the kids who are drained by this process, one by one, die. They will. They are not going to be allowed to leave those labs alive. Anyone who works in those labs and tries to be a whistleblower about what is going on in them is also going to mysteriously disappear. This is too much of a cash cow for the people running it to allow word of what is going on to get out. Now, the FDA has, in 2017, said, hey, don't do these young blood transfusions. There's no proof that they work. There's no proof of anything. And that shut down a couple of the companies. But most of the companies that have been doing it have since changed their advertising. You are no longer paying $300,000 for a transfusion. You're paying $300,000 to be a volunteer in their experiments to see if these transfusions will work. And because it is volunteers, and because it is in the experimental stage, it is unregulated. They can get the plasma from anywhere. They do not have to disclose where the plasma comes from. They do not have to disclose how many people died producing it. And they are making money hand over fist in this process. So, if you start wondering what the fountain of youth is, if you start feeling old age creeping up on you, like I am, here you go. Young blood transfusions will keep you young, but they come at one hell of a moral cost. And I'm out.